Hey, what's up, scallywags? Scallywags. Yeah, I did a video yesterday about my friend Gary, and that's kind of a, well, it ain't kind of, it's a pretty sad story. The way I handled that guy that threatened my wife and children. I'm not saying it's the right way to handle things, but when my wife and children's safety is at stake, I tend to get a little non-rational with my thinking. So don't think that in any way, shape, or form I'm proud of the way I handled that. But my experience seeing people that did go to the police when they were threatened or something like that, I couldn't take any chances, you know. When it comes to staying alive and my wife and my children's safety and keeping them safe, I will ask forgiveness before I ask permission every day of the week. If I don't feel that my life is in danger or my family's, I tend to deal with things a lot more responsibly. But I figured since that video about Gary was sad and there wasn't really a lot of positivity to that video, except for the fact that he was a wonderful friend and he was like a father to me. I looked at Gary like a father. I've always hung out with older people. I only had like 6 friends the whole time I was out in Arizona. And every one of them was Vietnam. They were fighting in Vietnam whenever I was born, you know. But, I don't know, just people, older people like that, they just have more worldly experience. They've been through more, their eyes have seen more than mine have. And if you take the time and you listen, you can really learn a lot from people like that. But the video about Gary was the content was not good. It was bad enough that I felt I needed to make it not for children, and the extended version of that where, you know, unfortunately when you do that, nobody can comment on it. But I didn't want any children watching that because there was a lot of stuff in that video that a kid don't need to hear. And I just felt that was the best way to put that video out. But this video, I can leave it where there can be comments because it's about another person in my life who I loved like a mother. Very much I loved her. She was a very special, unique person. Her name was Phoebe Shoemaker. And Phoebe did not have much. She had 3 kids she was taking care of. She didn't have a husband. She was on welfare. She didn't have anything. And Phoebe took in every derelict kid in the neighborhood that didn't have a place to stay or nothing to eat, and she fed them and gave them a place to sleep. She'd always tell me, she'd say, "You stay away from my daughter, you hear?" Whenever she go, "You hear?" That was her exclamation point. When she was saying something, when Phoebe said, "You hear?" That's her putting the exclamation point on it. Her daughter, Michelle, was we were like brother and sister. But Michelle did something that, to me, was crossing a line. That once you cross that line, there's no stepping back over it. I'm not going to go into all that because that's neither here nor there. When I was a kid, I was running away a lot. A lot of times I wouldn't have nowhere to stay at all. And wintertime, it gets cold. I can remember a lot of nights in the winter where I grew up, you couldn't just go sit inside of a gas station or something. They'd move you along, tell you need to get going. Can't hang out here, loitering and stuff. And there was some nights, it used to get cold as hell when I was a kid. The town me and Nate Dogg grew up in, when I say it was literally, it's up on the bluffs off, on the Illinois side of the river, and it would get so damn cold, you'd have a sheet of ice and then snow on top of that. And there were some nights, I can remember 2 or 3 nights, I walked all night long. And all I wanted to do was lay down and go to sleep. I was so cold. But I knew if I laid down and I went to sleep, I was not going to wake up in the morning. Cold enough to freeze to death. One night in particular, I had a hoodie. That's all I had, and it was like 35 degrees out. And I kept moving all night, just walking all night, because I didn't want to freeze to death. And Phoebe would take me in off the street and give me a place to stay. There was times she'd come walking in with a big bag of clothes. She'd go up to Goodwill or Salvation Army, and she'd get a big bag of clothes, and she'd come in, and whatever kid that had, rough at home or didn't have a place to stay, like she come in one day, she said, "Mark, come here once." And I said, "What?" She said, "Try these pants on. See if they fit you." She said, "You got holes in all your jeans. They're all holy, and I don't have any patches to patch them. See if these jeans fit you." She was always doing stuff like that for people. And I loved her dearly. I tried not to stay over there often because I knew that Phoebe was struggling herself and barely getting by. So I tried not to inconvenience her. But I didn't have nothing. I had basically the clothes on my back and a couple other pairs of clothes here or there, at different places. I didn't have anything. And Phoebe always opened her door for me. But she'd always say, "You stay away from my daughter, you hear?" But I didn't have nothing to give back to her. So I felt the only way I could pay her back was to defend her and anybody that had her blood running through their veins. And that's what I did. Anybody messed with her sons or her daughter, I come down on them. I come down on one of her boyfriends one time. This guy, I couldn't believe he did it. Phoebe was poor, very poor, but Phoebe was a clean person. Her house wasn't much. She barely got by, but she kept the house clean. And I was over there one day talking to her son, and her boyfriend walked in the living room, and I was sitting on the couch. I can't believe he did that. He took one finger, covered up a nostril, and like you'll do on a job site, he went and he shot snot out of his nose onto the fucking living room carpet. And I said, what? I said, did you just do what the fuck I think you did? And he looked at me and goes, what? My nose was clogged up. I got up and I'm not going to go into detail, but I beat the brakes off that dude. I drug him down the back steps off the patio and beating the hell out of him in the backyard. And Phoebe come out and she's like, son, stop, son, stop. And I stopped and I looked there. I said, do you know what he just did? And I told her, and she ran him off, calling him a nasty son of a bitch, and she ran him off. She never let him come back. But I could not believe he did that. You're dating this woman and you're going to shoot snot on her carpet? Who the fuck does shit like that? But he suffered for it. He suffered for it. Phoebe died about 2 years after me and Amy came back from Arizona. And I'll tell you, one of the proudest moments I've had since I've been back. I've loved 5 generations of that family, and I have protected them fiercely. I mean, fiercely. It was something I was good at, and it was a way that I felt I could pay her back, was to protect her family and protect her. And she always knew if she needed anything, she could call on me and I would be there. But she died of the cancer a couple years after I got back. And I have been to a lot of funerals. Most of me and Nate Dogg's friends died before they were even 35 years old. There was a lot of scarred up, hurt kids. And we was all running wild, you know. We've had friends shot by the police and killed. We've had friends shot and killed by other people. We've had a lot of friends that have committed suicide, but most of them were overdoses. Most of them overdosed. And it's such a waste. Such a waste. But Phoebe passed away, but before she did, her granddaughter, Michelle's daughter, Ashley, had a big Halloween party. She called me up. She said, Uncle Mark, I'd like it if you and Nate and Bobby and all you guys would come over. I'm going to have a big Halloween party. I said, I'd be honored to. Ashley, me and Amy will be there. So I was there, and Phoebe goes, Mark, come here, Mark. And I walked over, and she was sitting with a woman I had never met before. And she looked at that woman, and she said, this is my boy. And then she said, you hear? And she put that exclamation on it. And I said hi to the lady, and I gave Phoebe a kiss on her cheek. Man, when I turned around and walked away, I was just popping buttons. She introduced me as her boy. And she put that you hear? That exclamation on there. She was just a beautiful human being. The kindness and compassion. I mean, you got these Hollywood stars and stuff donating money, and that's nice of them. I'm not taking nothing away from them. But Phoebe had nothing, and she gave everything. I mean, she would cook for an army and she could barely feed her own. It reminds me of that Bible verse where you've got, the people are donating money in the church, and the one lady just puts one coin in, and Jesus says, surely I tell you that this woman gave more than all the others. And it's like, well, how's that? One guy gave a lot. She just gave one coin. That's all she had, he said. And that's, Phoebe lived like that. She had absolutely nothing. And it was hard for me doing like these videos when I first started doing my other channel. But what's even harder for me is standing up in front of a group of people, even if I know them, and speaking. I don't like it at all. And I have been to too many funerals in my life. I spoke at my mother's, and I spoke at Phoebe's. I had to speak at Phoebe's. I felt like if I didn't get up there and let people know what kind of woman she was, and how kind she was to me, and how giving she was to me, it would be like slapping that woman in the face for everything that she had done for me in her life. And that's what I told everybody. That Phoebe had nothing. And there was like 4 other guys, well, 3 guys and a woman that were there that were around my age that I remember being at Phoebe's house from time to time, because either things were bad at home or they were run away, and I told everybody the truth. I told them that she gave when she didn't have nothing to give. She would go around to food banks and to places getting clothes and stuff, because public aid wasn't enough to feed all the kids that she was bringing into that house to feed. I think sometimes the most compassionate people are the ones that have had it the hardest, because they know what it's like to be hungry. They know what it's like to be cold and not have a place to lay your head. Most people will walk by a homeless person and not even look them in the eye. I used to take a couple home every year and just give them a night off the streets. I can't do that anymore though, because my cardio's bad, and I don't want to bring somebody up in my house just to have to take them out. When I had good cardio, I could fight them, restrain them. I wouldn't have to get lethal with shit. And when I did bring somebody in the house, it's because my heart, it's like God spoke to my heart and said, give that person a night off the streets. And every time there was never a problem. I sat up all night and I told them, this is no disrespect to you, but I don't know you, and I have to protect my family. So I'll be up all night on that couch there. You can use the shower, show them where the towels are, show them where all the food is, make you anything you want to eat. And we had an extra bed for them to sleep in. But if you go down and open that basement door and try going downstairs where our youngest son was sleeping at the time, or you go past that bathroom towards mine and my wife's bedroom, it's not going to be good. And every time those people were respectful, because I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to walk all night so you don't freeze to death. I know what it's like not to have nothing to eat for a few days. And that's why I told in my last videos on the other channel I had, that's why I did a video about Phoebe Shoemaker, because she was a part of my life, and she was such an incredible, compassionate, caring woman. And I thought, well, as long as that video's there, anybody that watches it, she'll be remembered, you know. I miss her a lot. I really miss her a lot. She was a really incredible person. And her daughter, Michelle, I love Michelle like a sister. But what Michelle did, I can't unsee it, and I can't unhear it. But I'm not going to put her business out there. But I will say that she crossed a moral line with me. I've always had, at my core, the number one rule. Anybody knows me will tell you, my number one rule at my core, you do not fuck with children. You don't hurt a child. You just don't do that. I would cut one of my own children off for hurting a child. I take that very seriously. As a matter of fact, my buddy Johnny, we're tight. I mean, we're brothers. We're not friends. We're brothers. And Johnny, it was a long time ago, he had him a little bit of a drug problem going, and I was out on the bricks just gypsying, bouncing around, and he asked to borrow $50. And that's all I had. And that was to get my kids stuff for Easter. I said, Johnny, this is to get my kids Easter. I got to hustle up some other money to eat and everything else. He said, man, I swear I'll give it back to you Friday. Friday came and went, didn't see Johnny. I looked for him all day Saturday. The only time in my life that I ever showed up empty-handed on any holiday for my children was that time. And safe to say, when Easter was over, I immediately started hunting Johnny. We're brothers, we'll always be brothers, but we were gonna fight. And I caught up with him at his house, and he stepped out on the porch when I knocked on the door with his 2-year-old son in his hands. And I said, Johnny, you know why I'm here, don't you? And he looked at me and he smiled. Or he looked at me and I said, you're going to come out with JJ in your arms? And he just smiled, because he knew damn good and well when he had that baby in his arms, there was no way in hell I was going to swing on him. But I guarantee you the brother wishes that he would have just stepped out and got it over with. Because when I finally did get a hold of him, I was really angry that he walked out with JJ in his arms. So it got a little rougher than it normally would. But, I mean, and then the next day we were brothers again. We got beyond it, but I couldn't let that go unanswered. But my friends know me like that. They know that whenever I was collecting money, if I found out where somebody was, I didn't just go busting shit down and going up in places. I made sure, damn sure, that there were no children in that house. There was one guy owed a lot of money. And if I could have got a hold of him, I could have stood to make some decent money. Some real good money. When I saw him, though, he had his kid with him walking down the street. The father might be an asshole and not pay his debts. But if I beat that father in front of that child, that's going to traumatize that kid. A child loves their mother and their father. And they don't know about all the adult stuff and all the other stuff that goes on. All they know is that's that kid's dad and he loves his dad. And I didn't do nothing. I let him go. I didn't even approach him. But anybody that knows me knows that's my number one rule. You don't hurt children. But Michelle, I still pray for her. I don't wish any bad on Michelle. But I don't respect her anymore. And for a while I was feeling guilty about that. And I have protected Michelle many times. Many times. And I got to thinking, you know what? I don't owe her a damn thing. I owe her mother, but I don't owe her shit. And I cut her out of my life. I don't talk to her. And it's not because I wish bad on her or anything like that. It's because I don't respect her no more. And if I don't respect somebody, I'm not going to show up and just put a fake smile on my face. I don't even want to be around you if I don't respect you. I'm not going to show up and act like everything's okay, because it's not. Actually, she crossed two moral lines. And the one I couldn't believe she did. I mean, it just totally blew me away. But I'm not going to talk about that, me and her business, and badmouth her when she's not here to defend herself. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I still love her. I still care about her. I just don't respect her. But her mother, I loved her dearly. I still love her dearly. She did a lot for me. And she didn't owe me anything. She was very special to me. I miss Phoebe all the time. That's my boy, you hear? God bless her. But I was so proud when she said that. So proud. And I had another friend one time. He called her Dirty Knee Phoebe Shoemaker, and I blazed him. Punched him right in the mouth. He goes, "What the hell is that for?" I said, "Don't you ever talk about her like that. Don't you ever talk about her like that." That woman gave me something to eat when I was hungry. Gave me clothes when mine were all raggedy and falling off of me. Don't you ever talk about her like that, friend or not. Because you disrespect her, then I got a problem with you. I repay kindness and loyalty with kindness and loyalty. When people do things like that for me, I don't ever, ever forget it. Ever. And when I'm loyal, when I'm all in, I'm all in. Now, there's things people can do to lose that. But I'm not the one that breaks the truce or breaks the loyalty. And most of the time, the people that I love, that I really care about, it takes a couple times. I tend to be very forgiving. And it takes a couple times for me to finally say, you know what, fuck you, I'm done. But whenever I say I'm done, you can rest assured that that's it. There's no second. I got one friend that he still tries to hit me up once in a while on Facebook or something. And I tell him, you know, a mistake can be forgiven, motherfucker. I don't trust you no more. And plus, he's done things that morally crossed the line with me. I haven't said his name, so I'll say it. Whenever you're stealing your kid that's dying of cancer's fucking pain medication so you can get fucking high, you have lost your soul. But yeah, he every once in a while, and then he screwed over somebody pretty close to me, and he screwed me over. And after he screwed the person that's pretty close to me over, I told him, I said, you don't pay this motherfucker back, we're done, bro. And $400 was worth to him over 35, 40 years of friendship. He showed up one day. I seen a car pull in the driveway. I couldn't see who it was, but I saw somebody walking real fast towards the front door. So I went out the door, and he was standing there. He tried to shake my hand, and I just slapped his hand to the side, and I said, get the fuck out of here before I beat your ass. And he left. He's tried to hit me up a couple times. I said, look, dude, it ain't ever going to be right again because I don't trust you no more. I don't trust you. And I don't respect you no more. If I can't trust somebody, they're useless to me. A mistake can be forgiven. You lose trust, you don't get that back. You don't get that back. It takes a lifetime to build up a reputation, and it just takes a second to fucking lose it. That reminds me of this. My grandma, Rose, my father's mother, one year for Christmas. At that time, it was almost all males in the family, born into the family. And all the sons and grandsons, we all got this plaque she had made. And it had our last name engraved across the top. And the words on it, it said, you got it from your father. It was all he had to give. So it's yours to use and cherish for as long as you shall live. If you lose the watch he gave you, it can always be replaced. But a black mark on your name, son, can never be erased. It was clean the day you got it, or he got it, and a worthy name to bear. When he got it from his father, there was no dishonor there. So make sure you guard it wisely. After all is said and done, you'll be glad the name is spotless when you give it to your son. My name's not spotless. I've been in prison. I have broken the law. I'm not proud of that. Not proud of it all. I didn't deal with things right as a young man. I don't like hurting. And I was very good at turning all that hurt into anger. And I was very good at keeping myself numb on alcohol and drugs so I didn't have to face reality. I used to say reality is an illusion produced by an alcohol deficiency. I would just stay numb and hide from all that hurt. And when I would hurt, I would turn it into anger. Anger was an emotion I was very used to growing up. I could handle anger and violence. Pain, I ran from that. I ran from it. But, yeah, Phoebe Shoemaker, God, she was something special. I loved her very much. You know, like I said, I ain't trying to take away from rich people that give to charities. It's always good to give. It's like, that's why I'm not having a funeral, because I know what it'll be. It'll be what it's been my whole life. And my family, you're judged by your portfolio. You're judged by what kind of car you got, what kind of house you live in. And my stepmom, my dad will show up. My stepmom will be saying, what a waste. He could have been so much more. I told my buddy Bobby, I said, I'm not putting my friends through that. Have to listen to that shit. He goes, somebody says something like that, we'll fucking tear their heads off. I said, well, that ain't what I want either. You know, she'll be running her mouth and I'll be being judged. But I'll tell you what, I don't ever see none of them taking homeless people in off the streets. I don't see them taking care of their friend dying of cancer. I will go farther for a stranger or a friend than anybody in my family. My son said I'm too loyal. I've done some bad things in my life. I came into this world a big-hearted kid, a good-hearted kid. And I got scarred up and I didn't deal with that positively. But by the grace of God, I got my heart back. And I have a good heart. I do things for people with no expectation of anything in return. I do it simply because I truly believe, as human beings, that's why we're on this planet. Not to tear each other down and break each other down. We're here to help each other. And that's what's so messed up about it. They'll be judging on me and talking shit on me when I'm gone. But there are not many people in my life that can match me when it comes to loyalty and how far I will go for somebody I love and for people I don't even know. So, in the end, God judges us all. That's why it hurts me so bad that my last YouTube was taken down, because I had some messages in there. I'm trying to get them back in there now, but I don't know how much time I got left. Things are definitely progressing pretty quick here, and I don't know if there's enough time. Oh God, I can remember going in that house there. I don't even like being over here. People that know me, they either love me or they would like to put a bullet in my fucking head. I have done an awful lot of damage. Most of the people, it's because they hurt somebody I cared about, or they owed some money to somebody. But It's just because somebody hurts somebody you care about, that doesn't give you the right to hurt them. And as a Christian, my video yesterday about Gary and that guy that threatened my family, as a Christian, I know that what I did was wrong. I know it was very wrong. And I'm not going to make excuses for it. The only thing I'll say about it is in my mind, I was afraid that he might carry through on what he said he was going to do. And I was willing to sacrifice myself, my freedom, to make sure that my family was safe. Because I love them more than I love myself. But as a Christian, I know it was still wrong. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. It's not my place to do things like that, but my family, I truly believed, was in danger. I'm not proud of it. But if I had to do it again, I'd do the same thing. I'm just grateful that Gary come in on that. And I'm grateful that he could talk me down. Because I wouldn't be talking to you right now if he wouldn't have. I was on a mission that night. That's why, see, I've met people, many people. I've had 7 friends that have been charged with or done time for murder. And in prison, I have met people that are murderers. And, there are people out there that will take your wind. We had a guy here in St. Louis last year. He locked his brakes up in his vehicle right in front of a city bus. Got out of his car, got on the bus, and shot 2 men in the head and killed both of them dead. And the police said that his reason for doing that was because they looked at him disrespectfully. That's why I always try to stay in my own lane, mind my own business, live and let live. As long as you're not hurting somebody, live and let live. Like YouTube, I don't jump on people's channels and fuck with them. If I don't like them, I just don't watch them. It's that simple. You got these people that think that if somebody don't think the way they do or agree with them on everything, that they feel like they're supposed to fuck with that person. If you're that way, you're going to spend your life fucking with people, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't think the way you do. This is America. People have the right to think the way they want to think. But I'm not going to waste my breath arguing with somebody over what they think. They have the right to think what the fuck they want to think. Well, I'm going to hop off here. You guys have a good day. Say a prayer for Phoebe for me, and say a prayer for my friend Gary too. Much love, you guys.